Hello, I'm Vonda Adams with the Kentucky Valley Educational Cooperative. Today I would like to share one of my favorite fluency activities with you, Split the Pot. As a math interventionist, I saw my students make huge gains in fluency with the activity that I'm going to share with you today. Let's first review the CSA model. The CSA model is a strategy that all new math concepts should be taught with. The concrete stage involves the use of manipulatives or tools to demonstrate the thinking and reasoning of a concept. After the student demonstrates an understanding of the concept with manipulatives, he then works at the semi-concrete stage, representing his thinking with drawings and eventually mental images. The final stage is the abstract. At this stage, the student demonstrates his thinking with symbols. Split the Pot is an activity designed around the CSA model. We will begin by discussing the steps to the activity to be followed by demonstration of what the activity actually looks like. The following standards are addressed with Split the Pot, which requires the student to decompose numbers and to determine the unknown add-in. In order to play Split the Pot, you will need the following materials: a divided container, counters or Unifix cubes, construction paper or a cover sheet, dry erase marker, sheet protector, and recording sheet. Split the Pot works best if the range of numbers is between 1 and 10. After determining the whole number the child needs to compose and decompose, count out that determined number of cubes. Next, the child holds the cubes above the divided container and drops them into the container. The child observes the two parts that make up the whole number, and depending on the CSA stage that they are at, they will either simply verbalize what they see, draw a representation of what they see, or record the results with symbols on the recording sheet. Then, they repeat the process. At level 2, the student will be working on determining the unknown or missing add-in. After dropping the cubes into the container, the teacher or partner covers one part of the container with a sheet of construction paper or his or her hand. The student must determine the unknown part. No matter what math activity you have your students engaged in, the most important part is the math discourse that is taking place. Discourse for this activity would involve asking the students about the various combinations for a number, ask whether they think all the possible combinations have been found, and of course always encourage them to explain their thinking or what they see. Now, let's take a look at a demonstration of Split the Pot. So first of all, let's talk about those materials that you're going to need. You're going to need a divided container, and one that's divided equally will work best for you. You're going to need counters of some sort. I like to use the Unifix cubes. It's easy for the kids to draw, or little circular counters will work as well. You're going to need your recording sheets. This is one type of recording sheet that the kids can use. And then you also have one that we'll talk about a little further once we're a little further along with the skills. And then, of course, a dry erase marker if you're going to be using things that are dry erase. Now, if you do not have access to a laminator, you could actually just slip these down into sheet protectors, and they'll work just as well. They'll work wonderfully. That's what I used when I was in the classroom myself with my kids. So, first of all, let's talk about what you're going to do. So first, you have to determine the number that your kids are working with. So if they're working with, let's say, for this case, the number 6. And of course, like we said earlier, this activity works well with numbers within 10, working on fluency within 10. So I've got 5, one more, so we've got the 6 Unifix cubes. So you take those cubes, and they break them apart, and they just hold them in their hand. They hold them above the container, and they drop them. And hopefully they'll land in the container. If not, they can put it back. So here we can see that we have 3 and 3. And of course, you're sitting here with the child, or they're sitting with a partner, and they talk about what they see. They see 3 and 3. So this is what you would do over and over again at first. So they just pick them up, they drop them again, and they see that they have 4 and 6. So 4 and 2 rather makes 6. Then we drop again, just over and over. Then we see again, we have 4 and 2. And 4 and 2 is 6. And of course, you want the kids to say this. They want to verbalize it. Now, once they've done this quite a while, then you take it the next step, further. Of course, this is the concrete portion of the CSA model. So we drop it, and we see we again have 4 and 2. So 4 and 2 is 6. So then we move it to the semi-concrete, where they actually draw what they see. So we're going to draw 4 on this side, and then 2 on this side. And they just do that over and over again. So let's do one more for the sake of demonstrating. So we're going to pick it up. Hopefully we'll get something different this time. And here we have 5 and 1. And 5 and 1 is 6. So they would draw what they see. And the one over here. And then after they've done this for quite a while, then you can take the next step further, which is the abstract, where they actually write the number sentence that would go with this. And of course they can always label what their number is up here, that this was 6 that we're working on. So we can see that 5 and 1 is 6. And that's actually the terminology that you use with them, that this plus stands for one and this equal sign stands for is. And then you can interchangeably use those words. That 5 plus 1 equals 6, which means that 5 and 1 is 6. Okay? Now, I want to talk about how we can move this to a different level. Once they've had many experiences doing this, then they're ready to then possibly could move on to this next recording sheet, still keeping that same number. So we're going to still stay with 6, and this time all they do is they just drop 3 and 3 is 6 and record 3 and 3 is 6. And then they would drop and record 4 and 2 is 6. 4 and 2 is 6. Right? So that's another activity you can do with this. Moving them away from the all 3 steps of the CSA model. Now, another thing that I like to do with my kids with Split the Pot would be to, when I'm sitting with them, and they would drop their counters. And as soon as they drop their counters, I would have something and I would cover one portion immediately. And they would have to tell me what the missing add-in is here. We know we're working with 6. We see 3 here. So, what's the other part? And you can lift and check. And of course they can do this with the partner as well. One person can be responsible for covering, the other would tell the answer. And then you lift and check. So, one more time just to demonstrate. Cover, and you want to cover, of course you would be ready to cover immediately. Of course we have 2 here, so what's left under here? 2 and what makes 6? 2 and 4 makes 6. So that's how to play Split the Pot. Kids really enjoy it. It is a great activity to work on fluency. If you would like to discuss the activity further, please feel free to contact me at vonda.adams@perry.kyschools.us or 606-497-6025.